Good morning. I want to start off this week's video with a moment of silence. How often is it now in today's society that we wake up to something of a tragic event that just happened here in Vegas last night? It seems as though it's more and more prevalent that we as Americans wake up maybe month after month and something like this has happened. Now, it isn't one race. It isn't a black. It isn't a white. It isn't a Hispanic, a Native American, or anything of that. It's one individual as a whole that's coming out and is creating terrorism in some way. Something that they have in an idolized idea that violence is the way out. Obviously, in this case here in the Vegas shooter, he ends up committing suicide on a cowardly way out. That's what he felt was right in his mind, to be able to take lives prior to taking his own life, and then that would be the solution to his problem. Now, one of the things that I've noticed here lately is the perspective of society as a whole and what they've changed compared to what it used to be. As I mentioned, when it comes to an African American, it comes to a white, Hispanic, whoever it is, that still doesn't decide what that race and how that race should act based off that one person's idea or their action that they took to create violence. I've recently stopped watching the NFL due to some of the things that are going on in that until they figure out how they are. I am a former service member myself, so I've been through that and I understand kind of where I stand on it. The American flag to me has a foundation that it was created upon way back before my time and stuff like that, that means something to why they have the freedoms, and everybody has the freedoms today to be able to go out, and freedom of speech and protest based off stuff that was founded before. I've had service members that I've served with that have known people that have also fought in battle, that have lost lives, family members that have lost other family members' lives, and on such of that I don't, like I said, that's one of the reasons that I've kind of swayed away from watching the football. But aside from that, I don't want to get into a crazy amount of political stuff because I don't want that what the channel is, but I want you guys to know that the families, the loved ones, everybody that was affected, victims of the Vegas shooting, I support it. We're going to be praying for you. Absolutely no violence. I am not a big fan of that at all. That's something that needs to stop in America, and I think a route to that is getting people together and understanding what we can do to fix that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode of Dirt Grinder. Before my first ride, I had to switch out the main jet based off the elevation and the temperature of the area that I'm riding in, so that way I could get the best performance I could out of the TE when I get out on the trail. Today's video is not going to be a full in-depth video, but I am going to just show you the basics to get the carburetor rotated out, to switch out that main jet, put in that main jet that is affected based off your riding condition. So let's go ahead and get into that, and let's get started here.
So one of the first things you want to do is make sure that your gas is turned to the off position. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the bolts here that hold your chain guard on. Following that, there's actually going to be a little clamp that's going to cinch down on your hose that runs into your carburetor here from where your gas line feeds. You're going to go ahead and remove this clamp, loosening that. Also, there's going to be another 2 clamps up to the top here. You're going to see one's right up in here. The other one sits back, tucked back in there. You can use that with a flathead or a socket. Usually a flathead works, or if you have an extended socket in there, you can get back in there and reach those. Works perfect. Now that you've got your hose that runs from your gas line down to your carburetor, you got that taken off. You've got your 2 clamps that are up here loosened up, so the carburetor will now rotate. That's the next step. We're going to try to rotate that carburetor out. Now that you've rotated your carburetor to your side, depending on what bike that you have, in this case mine's a 17mm wrench, you're going to go ahead and loosen this drain plug, which will open it right up to get to that main jet. So once you've taken this gas or the drain plug off, your main jet sits right at the base of it, like such. You're just going to go ahead, mine was a 6mm, loosen that main jet, comes right off. All right, now that you got your new jet, whatever one that you're deciding to switch to based off the elevation or the temperature in the area that you're riding, go ahead and swap that out. It doesn't take much to tighten it right on. Once you get that back on, you are good to go to put your drain plug back in. All right, now that you got your drain plug back in, the carburetor's been rotated back to its original starting position. Go ahead and retighten all your clamps. Ensure when you do this that the clamps haven't fallen off the track or anything like that. You're not cinching down, you're not getting a good seal on it.
So thank you for watching this week's video. Please subscribe. Let's get this channel growing even faster. I didn't want to get into the whole political thing. I'm not a big one to jump in and converse about that. I'll do it on the family level, local level, but I don't want to get into whole spiels on the internet. As long as you let me ride dirt bikes, hunt, fish, and shoot guns, then I'm okay with that. So thank you again. Comment again. If you're watching, please pray for the victims, families, everybody that was involved in the Vegas shooting from last night. And thank you guys, and I'll see you next week on another week's episode, Dirt Grinder Enduro.
Moto is my motivation. So gas up for that rider's anthem. Running with the guy to get a first play, can't see me. Straight Vanilla, I'm undefeated.